You're watching UPfront with me, Blessed Sogah, on the Joy News channel. Now, I've got this warning for you because any individual or group attempting to obstruct security services in their attempt at fighting illegal mining will face, quote, the full force of the law. Well, that's the warning coming through from the Ghana Armed Forces, which has now released a statement pointing out their displeasure at how some individuals in parts of the Ashanti region attacked officials of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NAIMOS, and some other officials of the Environmental Protection Agency. In fact, here at Joy News, we've also had to bear the brunt of that attack because some journalists who were working with that raid, together with the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, also got affected with some individuals involved in accidents when all of these raids were happening. Is the reason for which you see that statement signed by the military pointing out that the security services will continue to fight illegal mining. However, any individual, as you can see that on your screens, that will attempt to obstruct security services in their fight against illegal mining will, quote, face the full rigors of the law. And already some swoops have taken place in a joint, or if you want to call it a simultaneous targeted exercise that was carried out in the Ashanti region, together with the Ghana Police Service and the Ghana Armed Forces. And you see some of the communities there with a raid and a scope of the swoops going all the way to the Volta region. That's how far the intelligence-led exercise spanned. And that's why the military is now warning that any individual that will be involved in such acts going forward will not be spared. But already through the statement, there's a confirmation from the Ghana Armed Forces that, look, some individuals have been picked up already. What would this mean for our fight against illegal mining? And the question remains that, is the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat still in charge when it comes to the fight against illegal mining? Joining me in studio is Malsi Ama Mawinyefia. She is Director of Communications at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Pleasure to have you join us.
Hi, Blizzard. How are you?
Yes, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's not a good time if you're a Communications Director for a ministry, a sensitive one such as the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, because there's so much happening when it comes to illegal mining. Mm-hmm. Let's start off with a statement from the Ghana Armed Forces. Mm-hmm. Are we getting, some clear briefing, perhaps, to the ministry on probably how many individuals have been picked up already by the security agencies?
With regards to the swoop on Wednesday? The swoop, yes, precisely. Yes, so reports that we're getting for Dadrin specifically, I think they have about 120 people picked up. Yeah. For Shidium, over 100 people picked up. So they're going to go through screening, and then based on that, these are all suspects at this point. Yeah. Based on that, further prosecutions will follow.
That's looking like a tall order. I'm just wondering how prosecutors and perhaps by extension the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources will now have time to prosecute as many as 100 individuals.
Oh, they'll be prosecuted. They'll be prosecuted. Don't forget that. Year to date. Yeah. With regards to the work that the security agencies have done from beginning of the year to date, particularly with regards to illegal mining, anti-illegal mining, we have over 1,500 suspects. That is different from the 200 plus I've just mentioned who were picked up. Who were picked up recently. Yes. And all of these are at various levels of prosecution. So, I mean, if you decide that you're not going to listen to what the government is saying, if you decide that of all the alternatives that we have put on the table, of all the measures that government is putting on the table, you just can't be bothered. You're adamant about the situation and you still want to engage in illegalities. And to the extent of attacking security agencies. That's
really on the high side of it. Here's what I want to do. I want us to go back to the statement on the screen. You may find it on the screens now, with possibly the extent to which the swoop had taken place. Look, I'm looking at Volta region. That's how far this is going.
Yes.
Is it that there's illegal mining happening there? Because it was really strange to me when I found
intelligence.
That. Okay.
This is all based on intelligence. After the Shidium incident, for instance, we were told that a number of people had left town for fear of this happening because they knew what they did. We're going to come back. Yeah. So this is all based on intel. That's the security agencies had. And so that's why they're extending all the way to those areas as well.
And I'm presuming then that it means that illegal mining and its impacts are far-reaching. And the numbers keep growing. How are you keeping up at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in terms of prosecuting these individuals? Because the numbers keep increasing by the day. So
the prosecutions sit with the Attorney General.
Yes, obviously.
We're in touch with the Attorney General and his outfit, and he tells us that they are processing the prosecutions. So far, they have over 61 dockets, and each docket has multiple cases in there of illegal mining, specific illegal mining cases that they have on their table. So we're working with that agency. For us at the ministry, our work is more championing the cause and also coordinating, because the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources cannot do this alone. And so that is why we interact and we collaborate with like Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense. All of these agencies help us, because the illegal mining menace that we find ourselves, it's gone deep, right? And it cuts across multiple facets of the fabric of our society. If you do a diagnosis of what the challenge is, and that's what we did at the beginning of the year, there's the issue of livelihoods. People generally are getting involved in galamsey because they feel they have limited access to opportunities or livelihoods. And that's why even the last meeting at the GJA Awards, the president had mentioned that we are making room to be able to recruit more people with the Blue Water Guards initiative, with the Tree for Life initiative, and all the other youth-led initiatives that the government is putting in place. There's also the element of greed. That is fundamental. People are just greedy. You're engaged in an activity that's commercially viable. You're going to get revenue. What we are saying is, go through a certain legal framework, do the right thing, get license, do the mining, because we're not asking anybody not to mine. Do the mining, and then reclaim the area that you have mined. How hard can that be? And so when people decide that, no, I want to keep all the money to myself, I don't want to put the money back into reclamation, I'm not going to listen to what the government is saying, that is an element of greed that sits there. There's also the skyrocketing price of gold today. Gold is about $4,000 an ounce. That is an incentive on its own for people to get into illegal mining. And so you look at all of these, plus several other factors. For some people, it's just a general lack of awareness of the harm and the risk that they put themselves in. If you expose yourself to cyanide, if you're daily exposing yourself to mercury, and you have no protection, no PPE whatsoever, and you come and say, oh, gold loves blood, and so after a few months, you are dying because you have renal diseases or you are getting sick, because immediately you would not know, there are no symptoms, and then all of a sudden you are sick and you are dying and you think it is gold. No, it is the risk that you're putting yourself in. So when you look at all of these factors, then you ask yourself, if I am devising a strategy, for instance, to be able to counter this or to be able to solve this, what should go into that strategy? And that is why the strategy that we have adopted as government is multi-pronged. So there's a stakeholder engagement collaboration where we are speaking and engaging people and basically making them aware of the dangers of illegal mining.
I'm afraid moral suasion isn't working that much, is it? Because the feeling of some is that let's go all out, let's crack down on these individuals.
So I'm coming. I'm trying to outline
the point.
Outline the strategy. So I was talking about people being unaware, right? For those people, when you say go all out, what are you going to do to them? The person is not aware of what they're doing. For some people, they feel generally if they don't have political connections, for instance, they may not even get access to a license. So if you outline your strategy to them, you let them know that, look, the license acquisition process is not as cumbersome. All we are saying is go identify an area, go to the local level, speak to the local authorities, speak to the chiefs, speak to the DC, speak to the assemblyman. There's a district mining committee at the local level. let them identify the area with you and say, no, you cannot mine here because this is somebody's house. Or you cannot mine here because this is somebody's cocoa farm or palm farm. You can mine behind this area or this area because that area we can designate for mining. Then that makes sense.
But
you come to the Minerals Commission.
It's not working, is it?
It is.
Do you strongly believe that there's any individual in Ghana today who doesn't know about the effects of illegal mining? They do know.
There are some people who do not know. There are some people who do know. Yes, we cannot sit here and assume that because we know, everybody else knows.
They should know.
Not everybody knows. Not everybody knows. Because you see, the truth of the matter is, Galamsey did not start today, right? It's been with us from the time we knew we had gold. And gold has always been with us, even before foreigners came into our land. Now, you grow up and your grandmother tells you, oh, we used to find gold behind our house. And then you hear the price of gold has soared. Everybody is mining gold. And you start digging. What do you know about it? You know, okay, with a few tools here and there, you're able to dig the earth. But
what you're telling me is what's ideal. I'm saying to you that as of today, I'll be very surprised that some individual...
There are still people who do not know.
Really?
Yes, there are still people who do not know. And that is why education is important. That is why... See, I was just talking to you about the issue of people thinking that gold actually likes blood. How is gold liking blood? You know, and it is all because they expose themselves to certain dangers and they don't know the effects of those dangers. So it is for us to drive that education. That's where we always are saying that we can't do this alone. We need, for instance, the media to be able to drive the right narrative, to be able to drive the right education. You have a platform. You are able to use your platform to tell people that if you sit in a community, for instance, and you sit there, you allow somebody to pollute the water that all of us drink, the water that feeds the community, the water that we use to water our plants, the water that we use to wash our clothes, take our bath. If you sit down there and you allow somebody to murk the water because they are looking for gold. However, when you are in that community and the farmer there doesn't have clean water to water their plants, there's a ripple effect. When you sit in that community and your sister, your friend, your relative takes seed and goes through 9 months of pregnancy, and she gives birth to a deformed baby, it links back to that situation. Or she goes to give birth and she has stillbirth. It goes back to that situation. Now, when you drive that education, people become aware, become conscious. That is where it's easier to recruit people to say, we are going to be blue water guards. Then because they live in the riverine communities, because they live there, they can say, we will take charge and ensure that nobody is coming from...
The fear is that we're just buying time for these illegal miners.
When you say we are buying time, how much...
Because if you're doing moral suasion, they are not listening, they're still in the forest, and they're still mining.
Oh, but if you're in the forest, we're coming after you. And that's where NAIMOS exists.
Look at the level of gravity, if you want to call it, on the part of these individuals to even want to attack armed officers.
Okay.
That's how high we're going. So why not go all out and just...
So when you say...
well, I don't want to be the one using the word.
No, but you
know what I mean when I'm saying let's go all out.
You've seen what the security forces have done. And the president was clear last Saturday. He said, if you are a mining community, if you're a town, if you're an individual and you decide that you're going to come after the security forces, we're going to come after you.
Look at the word that the Otumfo uses. The Otumfo says it's almost becoming, quotes, like a mafia. That's a strong word statement.
And I agree. It is a strong
So let's go all out then, isn't it?
That's exactly what we're doing.
You're not going all out as you should.
We are.
Your blue water cats, for instance, is being criticized as you know, job for the voice. That's how they call it. Because you've heard from some individuals.
So I think in the beginning, when we launched the blue water guards, people were not sure.
Of how effective they were going to be.
Of how effective it's going to be. But we've seen the results. And I think Ghanaians are beginning to appreciate the work that they're doing. These guys are very committed. And like I said, if you sit in the community and you see the thing, it is easier for you to take charge, to take ownership and say, I'm not going to allow this to happen in my community. And we've seen the results every day. Every day, these guys are on the ground. And we're still recruiting. And the president, the last time we met the CSOs, also mentioned that seeing the result that we're seeing with the blue water guards, he thought that it was important that, look, we probably need to up the numbers. And so government needs to make provision for us to up the numbers so that we get a lot more.
So we may see a lot more blue water gas in the coming days. In spite of the concerns that they are not as effective, as brutal, as compared to, you know, the military or the police service.
Those concerns were at the initial stages. I don't think that at this point people still have those concerns.
Yeah, because as we see, these individuals, I don't believe they carry arms, do they? They don't. They are just community watchdogs.
So this is how it works.
Lastly, yes.
So let me help you with it. This is how it works. These are young people who live, like I said, in the reverend communities. Yes. It is easier for them to be there, to man the water bodies because they already live in the communities. So they are close. Yeah. They get support from the traditional leaders. They get support from the youth leaders, right? And they have backing from the Reverend Command of the Ghana Navy. They have backing from NAIMOS. In the last few weeks, if you follow the stories, they've done several joint raids with NAIMOS. They've done several joint raids with the police. And just last week or so, there was a joint raid in one of the western region, one of the towns in the western region where they did a joint raid with the police. And over 100 chamfans were destroyed. They are seizing water pumps here and there. The 900 water pumps we gave to the Ministry of Agric a few months ago, most of it was coming from the blue water guards. So when you say you're not seeing the results, I'm sorry, unless you're playing the denial card, the blue water guards.
Mostly, honestly, do you get scared when you see the blue water guards? I
get scared.
Yeah, you should be scared of these individuals. That's the effect they should be having, you know, on the communities, because these illegal miners are carrying arms. When I see a blue water guard, I should be able to say, well, I'm not going into that forest reserve.
For the most part, those who carry the arms, for the most part, are usually within the forest reserves. Like I said, their work is not confrontational. So they drive a bit of education. They go around the communities, because, like I said, because they live in the
guards are not supposed to scare us, not supposed to scare people away from the...
Their work is not confrontational. They ward off...
The feeling is they just look too friendly for
no, they're not friendly. They don't look friendly. No, not at all. Not at all. You should see... They don't look friendly. They don't look friendly. And like I said, in instances where they need backup, they always have that. They always have that because they also have support of governments right from the top. So in instances where they need backup from the police, from NAIMOS, they always have it. But basically their work is not confrontational. Theirs is to make sure that they are manning the water bodies and ensuring that nobody is coming there. If you're coming there, they warn you. If you decide that you still want to come and you want to attack them, they always have backup. And that's why we have rapid response teams close to them. We have these temporary operating bases close to them, as and when they need backup, where they need to, it needs to get confrontational. That's where the security forces come in. For them, they are community vanguards. And for vanguards, theirs is to lead the charge and ensure that everybody else within the community is also aligned to say, we are not going to sit here and allow anybody to come from anywhere and come and murk the water that we are using for their own personal gains. And that's just what it is. And we are seeing results. In areas where the blue water guards are deployed, if you pick the data from the Water Resources Commission, we are seeing improvements in the turbidity levels. We're seeing improvements. We are not saying we are where we want to be. No, that's not what anybody is saying. But we are saying that where they are stationed and with the work that they are doing, they need a lot more support, and we need to beef it up, and we will get the results. Once we're able to clear all of these people, and the EPA has recently issued a ban on the production and sale of chanfans and floating devices and things like that. Now, once that ban is in place, it also empowers them sort of to be able to now go ahead and say, yes, we can burn the chanfans. Now we can get you off, because if you are found there, they can also notify EPA that these people are producing this here, or they are selling this here, or they are driving this along with the water.
We'll speak about the chanfan shortly. My interest again is on the Secretariat, NAIMOS, and what it's been up to so far. Because if you're coming in the attack now, I'm wondering what the next strategy will be for you, knowing that once you go there, these community...
Ruthlessness, one word.
That's what you'll be doing.
Yes.
But we've not seen that so far, have we?
No, you see, for the most part, NAIMOS has been ruthless. But they are going notches up, several notches up. Around the... I like to use examples, so it's much easier for you to picture. Around the tunnel area, the offense shelter belt, there was an incursion that had happened a few weeks ago where NAIMOS had gone in there. And these, I call them recalcitrant miscreants, had gone back just after a few days. The beauty of how NAIMOS works is, first of all, NAIMOS is highly intelligence-led. So they just don't get up and just go and conduct a raid. They would have conducted their intel. They know what they're doing. They know when to go, all of that. They have their timing. And that's why we're seeing the result that we're seeing. Now, NAIMOS, the monitoring team had gone back in there. And as they were going back, they got intel that the people had gone back. The same day these guys went back in, the same day they were picked up. That's how swift they are. So we cannot say that because there's been one incident, it means NAIMOS is lax. No, that's just not what it is. And
what's the end game? To end illegal mining or to minimize it?
Just to end illegal mining.
Is that feasible?
See, illegal mining, the illegalities in the trade, right, can be stopped. What we are saying is, we are not asking anybody not to mine. There's a legal framework. There's a pathway to conduct mining, whether at small scale. We're introducing a medium scale tier now, whether at large scale. At whatever scale that you want to engage in mining activities, you are allowed to. The question becomes, if you are allowed to mine, what prevents you from doing it the right way? Really. And that's why I was outlining the strategy for you. So I was talking about the stakeholder engagement. I was talking about law enforcement, which is what NAIMOS is doing. But even before you are enforcing the law, you need to have the right laws. We've looked at the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, which is the Act 703. We've looked at the Minerals and Mining Policy 2014. We're in 2025. Those regulations, those laws need to evolve. And that's exactly what we've done. From the beginning of the year, we've toured the length and breadth of the country, engaging academia, engaging media, engaging CSOs, engaging as many people as we can, as many groups as we can, to get everybody's buy-in into that revision. It's almost complete now. And what we're saying is, we are tightening the laws. We are also making sure that the law favors Ghanaians as much as possible. So the law
but it's never been the case.
That's why we are doing the revision, so that it becomes an incentive for you to engage in the mining.
And let's look at that approach. You're still going back to the age-old community mining schemes that we've ever seen.
Who is doing community mining scheme? Nobody's doing.
You're giving it a new name.
No.
What's your approach now?
No, we're not doing.
What name are you giving to that?
Let me explain. So the community mining scheme that was done in the past, we had to do a review of it. And our review indicated to us that it was only community mining in name. It wasn't community mining in implementation.
But you're still doing community mining. That's what you're doing.
No, but you see, if I live in a community, if you live in a community and there is gold, there's mineral wealth, because it's not just gold, right? In Ghana, we are blessed. We have gold, we have manganese, we have bauxite, lithium, we have salt, everything here in Ghana. And I live in a community, and people come and extract the mineral wealth here, and they take it out. Those of us who live in the community, we have no benefit to it. So they come and build us one school, or a golf course, or a football pitch, or an astroturf. How does that benefit us? Or when they set up a company, for instance, they say they are recruiting people from the community, and as drivers and security and all of that. And so if, for instance, I have a little bit of education, I'm not able to get access to the company, I'm not able to get employment in the company, I have to move out of the community to go and get a job. What is that? How does that benefit me? So what we are saying is, if you are in the community and you want to engage in mining, instead of the youth bringing themselves together, causing tension with the large-scale companies, creating problems because they don't see why they're not getting as much benefit as the large-scale companies. Why don't, for instance, in areas where the large-scale companies exist, cede off portions of the land to the community, because the land, would have. So
that is your type of community mining.
The land would have the area, the mineralized area would have been given to the large-scale company. They have the data already. They have logistics. They can provide support for the community. Now bring these people together as a cooperative. So they register themselves together as one unit, and then we provide them support, we provide them logistics, we provide them oversight, and then they do the mining. Now they are doing the mining within a legal framework, and I was talking about the laws, within a certain legal framework. Whilst they do that, portions of the revenue from that cooperative goes back into the community. So the chief, the leaders in the local community decide that in this community, our biggest challenge is we don't have a STEM school. let's build it. In this community, our biggest challenge is we don't have accessible roads. Let's do that. In this community, what we need is a hospital. Let's do that.
Now, see, how's it different from what we've seen before?
That's what I'm telling you. That what was done before was you, Blessed, can take a mining lease and go into a community, go into community A, for instance, and go and say, I'm coming to do community mining. So the lease says you are doing community mining A, right? Community A mining. That's the permits that you have. But it's actually for you. It is not for the community. How does the community benefit when it's an individual that owns it? Or maybe that individual is in cahoots with the chief, or maybe one assembly member. And so it is two people who jointly own it, but it has a name of the community on it. That's not community mining. That does not benefit the community at all. What we are doing now, it's so that the people in that community actually benefit. And that's what I was talking about. So
you're telling me on record that it's practically impossible for an individual to own a concession under the community mining scheme now?
No. There's no community mining to start with. And you cannot take a license in the name of a community to do community mining. First of all, it doesn't exist. If there's a community that wants to engage in small-scale mining...
Then they must take the concession.
Yes, but it has to be...
From a bigger company.
No. It has to be... So I was saying, if there is a large-scale company, we take portions of their land and give it to them. Now, if there's no large-scale company in that area, for instance, but the young people in that area want to mine, we put them together as a cooperative. They need to be together as one unit. We provide them, government is going to provide them with a shared processing facility. So they are processing the gold mercury-free, right? They are processing it within the legal framework that we have defined for them. They have oversight from government. They are going to get training, and we are collaborating with UMAT on that. They're going to get training, they're going to get support, they're going to get logistics, PPE, things like that, so that they do the mining within that framework that we have defined. And it is formalized. Let me put it that way. They do the mining in a formalized manner.
Let's say it this way. If I'm an individual and I used to hold a permit just under the previous regime, and I go in to recruit people from a community, as you say, I'm still bound by law to respect, the dictates of protecting the environment, first of all, and making sure that I comply with all the regulations. So what's the difference here?
So when you say if you're an individual, you're going to a community, what are you doing?
Because you're saying that the community mining scheme used to be owned by individuals.
No, but I'm saying that it wasn't being done.
The enforcement of regulation should be your bigger concern, isn't it?
It wasn't being done. That is what our audits told us, that it wasn't being done.
So the fear is it won't be done now too?
No, it won't be done. How is it not going to be done? You are registering as a cooperative. Everybody has a stake in it. So if it is 100 people that are coming together, it is 100 people in that cooperative.
Don't you see the difficulty in collapsing a cooperative if it doesn't meet environmental standards, as opposed to
that is why I talked about
that
the framework.
Of an individual? You could simply revoke.
No, but that's why I talked about a framework. That's what I talked about, a framework, and I talked about supervision. Right. And that's why there's a whole agency, the Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program, COMSDEP or our COMSDEP. Yeah. That's why there's a whole agency dedicated for that. So they have oversight. And that agency's job is to ensure that the cooperative is up and running. The cooperative is running within the framework that we have designed for them. And that framework also involves reclamation, for instance. So if you're mining in a certain area and you would need to, reclaim the land after you have mined, that agency is supposed to ensure that nobody is going to mine close or near or on a water body. That agency is supposed to ensure that no cooperative mining is going close to a forest or in a forest reserve. Do you understand? So all of that sits with that agency. And so they have oversight. Versus whereas individuals used to take the mining lease and nobody knows what they're doing. That is different. And so this approach works because this is actually community-led. And the people within the community have a buy-in. So I may not be registered as a part of the cooperative. I may not be doing the mine. I may not be registered as a part of the cooperative. But so far as I live in the community, I can also benefit because, like I said, revenues from that cooperative will come back into the community. So if we need a hospital, for instance, I am a nurse. I don't necessarily need to go and register as a part of the cooperative. But because the community will agree that we need a hospital there, if I am a nurse and I live in that community, I get to get a job. And it's a sustainable job. And that's just what we are saying.
Who decides the priority for the community?
The community decides it by itself, which is why it's actually community-led. The community decides. They decide, we want this, we want a hospital, we want roads, we want a school, we want this, we want that. The community decides. It's up to them. It's their prerogative. Because at the end of the day, it is their money, it's their revenue. The wealth that is coming from the portions of that goes back into the community coffers. So the community, the chiefs, the local leaders sit down and they decide that, based on an assessment of what our needs are within this community. This is what we want. And then
most of the challenges, I've had my own share and experience with some of these illegal miners, very young people at Marseille, and they just have one concern, it's about jobs. Why not find them alternative jobs and then get them out of the forest? It's as simple as that.
What's an alternative job? I just spoke to you, and if you were listening when I was speaking earlier, I talked about people getting involved in illegal mining because of lack of access to livelihoods, right? Yeah. Which is why I was saying that we are not asking anybody not to mine. And so beyond the framework, for instance, within the cooperative that we have provided, I talked about the nest. I gave you the example
but it's still within the framework of mining. Beyond that, yes.
I'm coming. So that is, I spoke about the nest. The nest is not mining. Yeah. Right?
But it's processed from the mining. Yes. That's if it's successful.
But you see, you see, let's not get this twisted. Right. The mineral wealth that God has blessed us with, it is for our benefit. It's for our benefit and for the benefit of our future generations. So if we are able to get, if I'm able to get a job as a direct benefit of mining, what is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. If we are putting up a processing facility, for instance, there'll be a bit of mechanical work. Yeah. If I'm an engineer, I got to get a job to do that. That's an alternative job. Yeah. When we go into the reclamation bit, after we're done with the mining, maybe we've mined this area and we're moving to the next, and we're doing the reclamation, and we're doing planting of trees and things like that, and I'm a farmer, I got to get a job. That's an alternative program. So I think a lot of the time we overthink when we say alternative livelihood or sustainable life. I think a lot of the time people overthink it too much, and which is why it's important that we drive this conversation so that, and I was talking about stakeholder engagement, stakeholder collaboration, stakeholder education. When we're able to break it down at this level, it's easier for people to appreciate what it is that we're doing. If you go to Elembele, for instance, there's a company there called NAIMOS. They have a pit that they had not mined for 10 years. The pit is sitting there. Government is saying, give that pit to the communities there. Today, as we speak, 3 communities are going to benefit from that pit. We're going to re-engineer the pit. They're going to start mining there. We're going to provide them with, support. Can you imagine the number of people within those communities, the hundreds of youth within those communities that are going to benefit from that? And we have several others across the country. As I speak, over 55 communities have been engaged on the framework for this cooperative mining. And everybody's excited about it because it makes sense. It makes sense. Versus one person saying, I have a license in the name of the community, and so, no, I'm sorry. Let everybody else benefit from this.
When we return here on Upfront, is state of the emergency off the table for government? That's another controversial one I would want to explore. Stay with us. We'll return with more. You're still with us here on Upfront. We're exploring the options, the fight against illegal mining, and we're getting to learn a bit more. But my interest now is about stakeholders, and Miles, you've been talking about that, speaking about engagement with stakeholders. I'll tell you what the stakeholders think. One of the key issues for them is a state of emergency. They keep asking for that, but there's no clear response. Well, the president has given us a hint. The president says last resort.
There's a very clear response.
I feel we're there. Let's just activate it. Why not?
I think there's a very clear response. And the president has said it wasn't off the table. So let me repeat what the president said, because that response was very clear. He said it wasn't off the table. What he said was he has not been briefed by the security agencies to say we're at that point yet. Whenever he has that briefing, it will be activated. Generally, we believe that the measures that we have put in place, the strategy that we have deployed is working. We're seeing the results. And so we're allowing it to run its course. Of course, every now and then you encounter one or two challenges. It doesn't mean the strategy is not working. And the incidents you're speaking about earlier, I think those are some of the challenges that you encounter along the way. Encountering challenges does not mean you're not doing the right thing. It doesn't mean that you're not on the right path. You encounter challenges because you're on the right path. Because people will see that you are making progress, and then they may want to see if they have an opportunity to be able to stop you. And so there's a clear response, and the response has been given. We have a clear strategy. The strategy is working. We will allow the strategy to run.
Okay, let me reframe the question. How close are we, or closer are we, to getting a state of emergency?
So I am not a security.
Because if the president says it's not off the table,
I am not a security personnel. I am not able to speak to that. The power of the state of emergency lies with the president.
I know that too well.
The president has not been.
But there's a threshold by the president now.
So that's what I'm saying.
If it's triggered by the reports, we'll consider it.
But Blessed, with all the results that we're seeing with NAIMOS, what else are you looking for?
What else am I looking for? Tell me about the security agencies.
What else are you looking
where
for?
They are.
What else are you looking for? And we are arresting all the way to kingpins. You saw the latest one. And I mean, what else are we looking for?
The sad story is that illegal mining is still with us. That's the challenge.
No, it is with us. It says, you see, let us be honest with ourselves. Illegal mining is with us because it's always been with us. This thing did not start today. It did not start at the beginning of the year. And then you will say, oh, illegal mining started in January. And why are we in November? You've not been able to solve it. No.
You're now opting for security zones. I'm wondering what the success stories is for that. So
I think it's going well. We have mapped the country into identify certain areas across about 7 regions that have been mapped into 21 hotspots. And these 21 hotspots are the areas where the NAIMOS team is being deployed. Actually, it was coming from a reconnaissance trip that the NAIMOS team encountered the Hwede thing, because they were going on the round to go and conduct a reconnaissance, identify the areas where the team will be deployed and things like that. So that is actually ongoing. The deployment is running. The team is being deployed, and from the intel that we get, they're adding to the personnel. So they're going to increase the numbers for the NAIMOS team. So far, we have about 400 people, security personnel, police and soldiers who have been trained for this. And so as time goes on, they will add to the number, and then we will see the deployment. But so far, so good. So far, so good.
Okay. Recently, the minister, because we've not spoken about him ever since the start of the conversation, I'm interested in what's going through his head now. Revoking as many as 270?
278.
That's over 2,000 jobs going, direct jobs. Are you mindful of the impact?
Yes, we are. You see, and when I was talking earlier, and I keep going back, when I was talking earlier, I talked about a legal framework that has been provided. Like I said, we're not asking anybody not to mine, right? Now, at the beginning of the year, one of the first things that the minister did was to revoke some licenses that were issued out within the transitional period. Those, I mean, from our checks, and it wasn't on a whim to say, because they were within the transitional period, let's revoke them. We conducted an audit, and we realized that those licenses were fraudulently acquired. So he says, revoke them. Now, beyond that, he gave a certain period to say, let's go through the MCAS system. The MCAS is the Minerals Commission's cadastral system. Let's go through that system. That is the software or the system that allows us to be able to do the license registration and see what the small-scale licenses, not small-scale, the licenses that are in the system, what is the status of all of those licenses? So we started with a small scale. As we speak, there's a review going on for large scale. Now, with a small scale, the initial numbers that were done, there were over 1,200 licenses, right? Now, only about 360 of them were in good standing. In fairness, and I'm using the right words, in fairness, the minister said there is a possibility that the challenges could come from the Minerals Commission itself, system problems, uploading problems, personnel problems from the Minerals Commission, or there could be the challenge of the license holder, the license owner. Could be a problem from his end. So he gave a time period of 2 weeks for people to come and rectify it. Now, the Small Scale Miners Association had come to see him to say, 2 weeks may be short, short. Yeah. So could he extend it? In his magnanimity, he said, okay, let's do 1 month. That's fair, right? So we gave them a whole 1 month period. Look at your documentation. And we published the list, it was all over. Yeah. It was about 906. We published the list. If you find your name, your company name in there, and whatever category, whether it's documentation gaps or quality or whatever.
Then you ought to address them.
Yes, also address them. So we give a 1 month period. See the ministry, there was a committee that was set up at the ministry, see the ministry, engage them, identify what can be done to rectify the situation so that you don't come in and say that you have lost jobs or you have to let people go because of this. And we did that. Now, within that period, we're able to rectify quite a number of them. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, and when I was talking about, he said that they could be from the Minerals Commission. He also asked the Minerals Commission to check from their end. Because you cannot ask people to clean up their acts when you haven't checked your own house, your own backyard. So he asked the Minerals Commission to do the same exercise from their end and ensure that the challenges that we have identified is not coming from the miners, the small-scale miners alone. If the Minerals Commission had a challenge, they could also do that rectification. And so within that period, all of that exercise was done. Now, after that, after all has been said and done, 278 licenses have been revoked. If you were not able to rectify whatever challenges or whatever gaps that you had within that period, I think it's just fair to say that you have to, if you're still interested in conducting the mining activity, come and start the process all over again.
I saw a reaction to that on social media, and you know, the question was quite an interesting one from that reader. He says, you'd have thought that with all these challenges happening with illegal mining, not a single mining permit would have been issued by the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Is the Minerals Commission still giving more licenses? Are you opening the gates up for more people to flood in?
So again, mining is not illegal, right? Mining is a commercially viable activity. Mining contributes significantly to the GDP.
And you've said that so many times on the show.
Yes, I keep repeating that.
Because when you say that, you should see the apprehension on the part of our viewers.
No, you see, I want people to get it.
Why is she saying it's not illegal?
It's not illegal. Mining is not illegal.
It doesn't have to be, but we're in a crisis.
Yeah. Ghana is the #1 gold producer in Africa. We're #6 in the world. Mining is one of the boosters of our economy. So we will not sit here and say, because there's galamsey, nobody should mine. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that because there is galamsey, come and do the mining well. Because we know people want to mine. And we are not restricting people from engaging in the mining activity. You want to mine, come and mine. But come and do it well. It can't be that hard.
It shouldn't be. Okay, we'll be wrapping up shortly. What I'm interested in is the future of NAIMOS and what more strategies or activities we should be expecting in the coming days. Do you have a blueprint of how this is all going to end, and will it end well? That's the concern. No, and apologies if I seem like I'm not being positive on this one. It's simply because of what we've seen.
But you see,
a lot of the time.
And I keep repeating this on other platforms. I keep telling people that NAIMOS is not a task force. And it is important that people get that clear. Right. NAIMOS is not a task force. This is a full functional operational secretariat, right? You have the complement of your security agencies, your armed forces, your police, Ghana Police, you have NACOX, you have NIB, you have National Security. All of those agencies coming together as one coordinated unit. So when they step out there, they're not stepping out there as a task force. They're stepping out there with intelligence. They're stepping out there to get results. And that's exactly what you're saying. And the future, I think it's beautiful, and Ghanaians have seen it. In the forest reserves, along the water bodies, NAIMOS is being deployed permanently. The Secretariat exists as long as government exists, to say, as long as people decide that they won't listen to what government is saying, NAIMOS is going to be there to come after them. But if you decide that of all that we have said and all the education that we are driving and all the talking that we're doing, it is going into your head and it is getting into your soul and your heart, and you appreciate that this country needs to survive and that we cannot kill the country that we have, we cannot kill the land that we have because of greed. This is the land that we came to inherit. If all of us decide that we are going to murk the water and we're going to poison ourselves and we're going to cut trees. Last time I was telling somebody, when we're in primary school, the basic science that we do, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. What happens to the carbon dioxide? The trees take them. And then they give us oxygen. Now, if you're cutting the trees, what is going to happen to us? So if everybody decides that that's all the messaging that we're driving is getting to their heart and soul, and they are getting it, and that's why I was saying the stakeholder engagement is important, and they are getting it, and we are driving the right narratives, people get the message, all of this will stop. People will still engage in their mining activities. All of us, every one of us will get to enjoy the benefits of the mineral world that God has blessed us with. It can't be that hard.
If there's a message that you're leaving us with and our viewers with, what would you want us to know about this whole fight against illegal mining?
Everybody has a stake in this. Everybody. Whether you live in the north, whether you live in the south, in the east, and the west, everybody has a stake in it. I have a stake in this as much as you do, because the ripple effects of all of this comes back to all of us. All of us get bear the brunt of it. So if the consequences are there, all of us are in trouble, which is why the government is committed, right from the president, right from the minister. The minister doesn't sleep. Everybody is committed to this because all of us have a stake in this. So what we want Ghanaians to understand is everybody should have that's at the back of their minds, that illegal mining affects me. No matter where I sit, no matter where I live, no matter what I do, illegal mining affects me. And everybody should have a voice, everybody should have a say in this. And let's do mining, let's do it the right way.
Like they say to those who drink a lot, they say drink responsibly. We say mine responsibly.
Mine responsibly and sustainably.
That's a good way of wrapping up the conversation. Mausiama Malinyefia is the Director of Communications at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. That's all time we'll last here on UPfront. I am Blessed Sogah. You see many of these stories and conversations on illegal mining when you log on to myjoyonline.com. It's a wrap. We'll see you again. Enjoy. Bye-bye.